The question for RPGaDay, Day 25, is what is your favorite revolutionary game mechanic? It's two powerful concepts to combine together, but I think this is my favorite of all of the favorite topics that have gone along for RPGaDay. I put a long list on my written blog of different mechanics that I feel are close to this category, as well as my answer. But in this video, which I'd like to keep short, I just want to focus on two. The first mechanic I ever thought was revolutionary or cool, and the one that now, so many years later, I think is my favorite revolutionary mechanic. So for the first one, it was just after I stopped playing D&D, and the fantasy game that we used to replace D&D was Palladium Fantasy. I was pretty much done with fantasy in those days. I wanted to do something completely different, but my group still liked fantasy, and so this was our compromise. But I found a really cool mechanic in it, which I really enjoyed, and I still enjoy the idea of to this day. And what we're talking about is the way combat works in Palladium. It's what's now called an opposed roll. And so the attacker is rolling a die, and the defender is rolling a die, and these, the results are compared. And that comparison gives you all kinds of information. Whether the attack completely missed or stands a chance of impacting against the body unless stopped. And of course, it determines the defender's ability to stop the attack. But it also factors in information about the armor, if you struck the armor and damaged it, or if you, found a chink in the armor and damaged the person beneath. So all that information from one opposed roll. That was fantastic. I really liked how fast it was. But more than that, this is an example of a mechanic which kind of serves as a bridge between what's being imagined and what's physically being done as the player of the game to resolve the task or to determine an outcome. Each attack in Palladium Fantasy is one discrete action. So every roll of the die is a cut or a thrust or, some kind of blow. This really synergizes very well with, imagining the scene in your head. So for people who like to get into in-character immersive gaming, there's great support right in the actual physical process of the system for that. I really appreciated discovering that, and I've liked seeing it in other games throughout the years. So there have been many other games throughout the years. And of all the games I've played, ones I feel that I've enjoyed the most employ a dice pool mechanic. And so I think my favorite revolutionary mechanic is that, the dice pool. And it was revolutionary when it appeared in Ghostbusters. And Ghostbusters was a licensed property by West End Games long, long ago, before they did Star Wars, using a variation on this mechanic. And the mechanic was brought forward by an all-star cast of designers from Chaosium, my beloved Chaosium. And so I feel the idea that resolution could be handled by multiple dice revolutionized, or at least opened up gaming to all the possibilities we see now. Games like, Shadowrun, games like Storyteller, games like Fantasy Flight Games, Star Wars. All of these things depend on the ability to manipulate multiples of success. Just something that you really can't do, or at least not in the same way, with a single die. Makes it more transparent and opens it up to greater types of interpretation. It was revolutionary, and so this is my answer. The die pool. Favorite revolutionary game mechanic. Now, if we were to repurpose this question for in 2015, or between August 2014 and now, what new revolutionary mechanic have you seen? It would still be tied to dice pools for me, but it would be Fantasy Flight Games' variation on the dice pool, using symbols rather than numbers. Of course, the game predates that time period, but my exposure to it was within that time period, and so that would be my alternate answer if I had to stick to the last calendar year. How about you? What is your favorite revolutionary game mechanic?